And I now have with me in the studio Dr. Godswill Ihetu, a top-level former administrator at the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. And he now joins me to take a look at the whole gamut of the petrol subsidy regime and how much of a burden it has become for the economy. Welcome to the program, Dr. Godswill Ihetu. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we have a situation on our hands. The head of the Nigeria Customs Service, Colonel Ahmed, retired, is now saying that, look, the NNPC is lying. Colonel Ahmed Ali is saying that the NNPC does not even have a correct figure in terms of the amount of fuel that is produced, the amount of fuel that is consumed on a daily basis by Nigerians. And that, look, this discrepancy, as far as is concerned, is not about oil theft, it's not about whatever, it's about corruption. The NNPC says we are ready to be audited. What exactly is the problem? Why is it so difficult for us to know how much fuel is consumed in Nigeria?
Well, I think NNPC is in the best position to give this information. They are the sole importers and of petrol. And one would assume that there is a basis for arriving at the figures or the volumes to be imported. And that is not a minor project. I mean, trying to collate the national requirement is a major statistical undertaking. So I don't know any other government agency, because this has to be a government agency, that is as well equipped to give us this information than NNPC.
Okay, but NNPC now saying, look, you can probe us. We're insisting that 60 million liters per day, 98 million liters per day. Colonel Ahmed Ali now saying, no, you can't account for 38 million liters. What explanation do you think that NNPC can offer?
One has to ask oneself, what is the basis for the figures that the customs are bandying about or telling us about? Is this as a result of their position at the intake point, at the importation point? Do they have a setup that takes account of how much, or measures how much petrol, I kept using the word petrol, how much petrol is coming into the country? Other than that, I do not see where else they can get their figures from, apart from the import volumes. And if so, why should there be a discrepancy between the importer and the customs agency? I mean, that is just, for me, it's common sense, or if you like, logical. Where is the customs figure coming from? If they will tell us, then one would like to, then interrogate what is going on.
But you see, one major area of concern here is that the owners of the OMLs, they say, look, crude oil theft is real, and that it affects their business. The Upstream Regulatory Commission says, look, in the first quarter of the year alone, over $1 billion has been lost. But then you have the Chief of Naval Staff, our Gambo, saying that, look, all this talk about crude oil theft, crude oil this and all that is exaggerated. He says people are lying, that nobody is losing anything. Or even if we're losing anything, it's inconsequential. So why is it that two different government agencies are talking at cross purposes? The chief of Naval Staff, Air Staff, Vice Admiral of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awa Gambo, says, look, this is exaggerated, it's no big deal. But the other stakeholders are saying, no, oil is being stolen. And the chief of Naval Staff says, no, we must understand the difference between crude oil theft and oil loss. I mean, you were in the industry for years, so is oil theft different from oil loss?
It would be.
Huh?
It could be.
How?
On this question of crude theft, I think we are facing a lot of confusing scenarios. I have seen data saying that we lose 400,000 barrels per day. I have seen data saying we are losing 200,000 barrels per day. That's a lot of difference. And I think, and both sources are coming from the industry. I didn't listen to the interview with the Chief of Naval Staff, but I read something about what he said. I think he went so far as to say we are losing only 20,000 barrels per day. Am I right? I don't know if I'm about that.
20 to 200,000
barrels per day. Now, in the industry, there are a number of ways of talking about oil loss. And in fact, it starts from the drilling area. If the drilling rig, which probably is hired at $1 million or so per day or something, if it goes down for a day or two, that company will tell you they have incurred a loss of $2 million, for example. I'm just giving you an example. I don't have the figures. So that is one way the companies rate their expenditure. Now, when you come to the issue of crude oil or petroleum products, we have been reading about the losses, starting from some operators who say they are losing as much as 80%. Others are saying 20%. But the issue here is that at the point of measurement, who is really measuring? Are they measuring output from their own field, from their own operations, into a major pipeline? And if so, who is checking at both points? Because you must check what you're producing as against what you are injecting into somebody else's pipeline. The point here is that it appears that between those 2 points, people are losing a lot of crude oil from stealing. I mean, either stealing or sabotage, right? And when there is sabotage or massive stealing, the operator often shuts down his operations. And it might take a day, a week, 2 weeks to resuscitate the operations or to repair and then continue your operations. So in between, you would consider yourself to have lost crude oil. You've lost production. And that can be calculated in monetary terms and in volume terms, of course. But essentially, that crude oil has not necessarily been stolen, but you have shut down your operation. You have not been able to produce over a period of time. So this is not to say that that this explains what is going on. In fact, what is going on now, for me, is a mystery. Why it's a mystery is because we're not getting coherent information among all those that should be accounting for crude oil export or crude oil losses.
But the analysts, they say that, look, whether you call it crude oil theft or you call it crude oil loss, that is an organized mafia that has overtaken Nigeria in the oil and gas industry. How do we address the threat of that mafia now that it's very clear that, in fact, the oil and gas sector contributes a very low percentage to GDP? And this used to be the major foreign exchange earning sector for Nigeria. How do we address it? And do you agree to the view that, in fact, there is an organized mafia at work at the highest levels of the state?
I think that's a major assignment for anybody. I believe that a couple of weeks ago, my colleague was here talking about the same thing.
Dr. Fawibe?
Shoyode.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Shoyode. And I think he said enough there. The issue here is that, personally, I don't know what is going on. I don't know who could be doing what is being said. The latest incident that we read about, where this very large crude carrier was sighted at Akpo.
The Guinea waters, the Gulf of Guinea.
Yes, and the information was that it's actually was running away from a certain manifold belonging to Total Energies. And it was caught in Equatorial Guinea waters. So the issue is, what is the sequence? How does such a very large crude carrier arrive at an export point without the authorities knowing about it and getting to know about it much later? It's such a complex situation, and for me, I don't claim to have knowledge of that because I've never, operated in that sector. So, if it's a mafia, if it's what organized crime, somebody should be accounting for this. Somebody should have knowledge.
Although, sir, the Nigerian Navy is even saying that that particular vessel, which was reported originally to be carrying 300,000 liters of Nigerian crude oil, stolen crude oil, Nigerian Navy is saying it was empty.
Well, that is the point I'm making. That's why I didn't start by saying it had stolen and it was running away. It was sighted in that environment. So those who should know ought to know.
It's like telling the intelligence forces in Equatorial Guinea that, oh yes, okay, no, thank you, we don't care. Okay. Well, on that note, thank you very much, Dr. Godswill Ihetu, for joining us on this Live This Sunday Talk Show. Thank you very much indeed.